welcome to the first meeting of the Landmark Commission for 2026. It's January 21st, and we'll call the meeting to order with a roll call. Please, Quinn.
Elliot Dyer.
Here.
Diane Corso.
Here.
Daniel Frederick.
Here.
John Felter. Alan Griffiths.
Here.
Jeff Crable.
Here.
Louis Schultz.
Here.
Perfect. I'm just going to open by saying welcome to Diane Corso.
Thank you.
To the commission, to your first meeting. Good
Thank
to
you
see
very
you.
much.
Thank you. Okay, the first item on the agenda is officer elections for the position of, is it chair and vice chair?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
just making sure. For chair and vice chair, do we have any nominations for the position of chair?
I'd like to nominate Alan Griffiths.
Second that.
Okay. Should we have a vote on the nomination for chair?
Oh.
Call roll, I guess.
Louis Schultz.
Yay.
Jeff Crable.
Yay.
Alan Griffiths.
Yes.
Daniel Frederick.
Yes.
Diane Corso.
Yes.
Elliot Dyer.
Yes.
Okay, and can I have nominations for the vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Elliot Dyer.
Second.
I'll second that.
Great, Dan, thank you. Are there any other nominations? If not, can we call the roll, please, Quinn?
Alan Griffiths.
Yes.
Elliot Dyer.
Yes.
Louis Schultz.
Yes.
Diane Corso.
Yes.
Daniel Frederick.
Yes.
Jeff Crable.
Yes.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you, Elliot.
Thank you.
The good news is it comes with a pay rise of 100% of your current pay salary. Okay, so the minutes for our September 17th meeting are attached. Are there any comments or questions on the minutes?
Move that they be approved.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, those are approved unanimously, and we have a number of applications, certificates of appropriateness that have been administratively approved by staff. So Aaron, if you want to walk us through those, or Adam, whoever's doing it. Adam?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I believe we have 8 in total. And like you did mention, they have already all been administratively approved, several of which, most of them you can find in their once proposed, now complete condition around town. First one is 220 West Market Street signage replacement. Brady Sidens submitted this application. This is where the parcel is located on the left-hand side of this screen. This is Building 87 in our downtown district. This is a street view of the facade on the left side, and on the right you can see the existing. All the way on the right, it was Bailey Legal Group, and the only word actually is changing to Ohio Legal Group. As far as I'm aware, business is staying there, but that is existing versus proposed. Analysis, like I mentioned, this is only a one-word replacement. Everything else appears to be the exact same as the existing signage in terms of design. So on September 17th, 2025, staff granted administratively approved certificate of appropriateness with the following conditions that, and every approval has this condition, so if I may, I can just read it once.
Yeah.
Okay, it's in the public record otherwise. So the condition is 1, all applicable permits are obtained through the building department, engineering department, planning division, and any other applicable agency prior to construction. Thank you. Any questions on that one?
Okay.
Okay. Moving on, 304 Wayne Street, we had a project for window replacement at the Sandusky Masonic Temple building. So this is where the property is. This is an interesting one because if you look on the bottom right of this slide, you wonder, why are we looking at this? This looks like it's completely out of the bounds of, our jurisdiction. If you look at that highlighted portion of the bottom, Ms. Blair educated this, pointed it out right in front of my face. I missed it too, which it said, the Downtown Design Review District includes all properties within this area and all properties fronting the opposite side of Washington, Decatur, and Hancock Streets. So it is within, just barely, the Design Review District. The property owners were very, they submitted it to us, so there was no, misunderstanding or contention there. So a street level view on the left, weather that we just could dream of today, sunny, and you can see grass. On the right-hand side of the screen, proposed conditions. They applied for all 4 windows and pointed out to us that they wanted to do that top left one now and to do the bottom in the future, like for like with what is there, updating it because they've deteriorated. So analysis, the windows will very closely match what's existing and therefore will comply with the design guidelines. So on September 17th, 2025, staff granted an administratively approved certificate of appropriateness with that below condition. Any questions? Okay. Moving on to 243 East Market Street, rooftop alterations, application submitted by Michael Zuloff on behalf of Lily Lou Limited for that property, and it was to install roof-mounted solar panels, which were not visible from the public way. On the left is this, the location of this property, and the same on the bottom right for where it is in the district. Here's what this property and building looks like from the street on the left. On the right, like I mentioned, this is what applicant proposed, solar-mounted, roof-mounted solar panels on the roof, not visible from the public right-of-way, which means it was compliant with our design guidelines. So on September 23rd, 2025, staff granted an administratively approved certificate of appropriateness with the below condition. Any questions?
Anyone?
Comments? Okay. Okay, next one is 314 West Market Street for alterations to the existing garage door openings. Application was submitted by GMA Asset Management Group LLC for the above property. And in addition to the openings, they installed a new pedestrian door on that same facade, which we'll look at here in a moment. The location map, the facade in question is highlighted in yellow, so it's highly visible from West Market Street, although it's not so much considered a principal facade because it's not directly parallel. Regardless, on the right-hand side of the screen is this property and building, this contributing building in the downtown district. On the left, we can see existing versus proposed conditions. Existing top with a note that on those doors, so if we compare the top existing to proposed, from side to side, the applicant wanted to narrow the doors slightly and go with a more glass-centered design. And in narrowing the doors that created, the larger garage doors that created space in between them for a 36-inch wide matching glass entry door for pedestrians. So again, not a principal facade, and the design was compliant with the guidelines, largely because it utilizes that high percentage of glass and maintains the existing rhythm of openings, which the openings themselves are aligned with other historic storefronts in the district and proposed appropriate colors. So they were compliant, and so on September 23rd, 2025, staff granted an administratively approved certificate of appropriateness for the proposed work, subject to the below condition.
One comment on that staff report, since they had just recently brought a comprehensive report to us and you had voted on a number of items, we attached this one as kind of an addendum to that full report. That's why it reads differently than the other administrative approvals in the packet.
Thank you.
Any questions? Okay.
All right. Moving on to 412 Columbus Avenue, the Cook Robertson House, individually listed property. The applicant applied to construct a residential building addition on the rear elevation of the building. And this is a continuation of a previously approved project through staff, which we'll get to. Okay, so on the top left is where this property is. It's a couple blocks down from the building we're sitting in now. And on the bottom right shows the individual listing of that property. Moving on, the street level view from the rear, I got verbal permission from the gentleman on site to take the photo while they were prepping it. And so that's what it was. I'm not sure prior to, that on-site mobilization in preparation of the project. I'm going to go ahead and say that it was not just sitting open. There were people moving out and about, so there wasn't a security concern as far as I saw. But anyway, looking at the structure, adding on to that, go to the right side of the screen, and that depicts the character, some basic specifications, including approximate height from grade, and so forth. And I can return to this in a moment, too. Oh, here's it blown up. So we see material keynotes, existing shingles to remain, asphalt shingles, gutters, downspouts to replace with new pre-finished gutters and downspouts, white, new white Pella aluminum clad wood window, existing window to be replaced with white Pella aluminum clad wood window, and let's see, replacing some railings, wood frame stairs, and this is on the back of the property too. Again, not really, I don't believe this is even a public-facing facade. So this is, while, yes, it does fall under our purview as exterior because it's individually listed property, the level of scrutiny, is much, much lower. But even given that, staff was satisfied with what they submitted with meshing the new with the old listed building. So like I mentioned, this is a continuation of a project previously granted administrative approval on September 29th of 2024, which focused on restoring elements on the front street-facing facade to period-correct materials and colors. The proposed building addition, like we've talked about, will be appropriately located on the rear of the building, out of view from the public right-of-way, and will be appropriate in massing, shape, material, and color. Therefore, it will comply with the design guidelines. So on October 6, 2025, staff granted an administratively approved certificate of appropriateness for that work, subject to that condition below.
Okay. Any questions on this one? My only comment is, it was some time ago, but the original structure at the rear that was torn down and replaced here definitely was not a historically appropriate structure in any way, shape, or form for that building. So whatever they put there is going to be an improvement, especially if it's, historically appropriate materials and design style. So, good. Okay. And it's good to see that building come back into our list of buildings that are being used, because it's been vacant for 10 years.
I think
plus.
something around there, yeah. And
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of folks out there working, they're actively working
Yeah.
on it now. Like you mentioned, that rear addition that was there before was one story, and it was an addition that was fairly recent, and you can't see it from the principal roadway. So
No.
if this exact project had been like on a corner where you would have been able to see this, we likely would have brought it to you before, for approval rather than a staff approval. But since it's hidden from the public right of ways, we thought it was appropriate as an administrative approval to let them keep going on it.
Any comments on that from commissioners, just because I know we've been doing these administrative approvals for a while now. I think one of the things that we have to consider sometimes is, are there areas where we'd rather have something come to us, or are we happy for these to continue to be administrative approvals? I mean, personally, on this one, I'm very happy, but I just want to throw that out for others to comment on.
Is there, I was just curious as to, what is the threshold? I happen to agree with all these, okay, but what is the threshold, what brings it in front of us?
Yeah,
and
so
what
we
doesn't?
identified certain things, and I forget, Aaron, if we specifically codified them, but certainly things like signage, windows that are like for like, doors that are like for like, historically appropriate, those kinds of things, painting that are where we're, repainting in similar colors or like for like or historically appropriate colors. All those kinds of things we said, if they weren't material changes to a building, that it was appropriate for staff to administratively approve those, just because it significantly reduces, the staff burden in terms of bringing things to the commission and the number of things that we have to look at on a regular basis. This one, I think, maybe pushes that a little bit, but I'm happy with it because we're not talking about our remit when it comes to what is visible from the facade in terms of the streetscape, if you like. Is that, Aaron?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that one of the other things that kind of comes to this body is muralizations. You know, when there's, well, like over at the old Register, Sandusky Register building, or, you know, down here on Eastwater.
Yeah.
Those are significant. And
Yeah, the interesting thing on murals for us to note is that we're not the Arts Commission. So we don't comment on the content of the murals or the style or of the artistic merit of the murals. That's for another body. Our comment is on whether the size and scope of the placement of the mural is appropriate.
Yep.
And we've had a couple of those debates, not in recent times, but previously, where we don't get into or comment on, and usually don't even see in our application what the mural's gonna look like at the end of the day. Just throwing that one out there.
Yep. There's a couple things that have been like moved and voted on by the Landmarks Commission, the signage specifically and site layout, like patios were specifically asked to be administrative approvals. That was maybe 3 or 4 years ago-ish, or
Yeah.
maybe about 5 years ago, right before I got here. And then there's a meeting on record about murals that if they are on a secondary facade on a building that's not contributing or that doesn't have defining architectural features, that they can be administratively approved. But if it's in a gray area on that, then we bring them for a review. And then the code itself reads minor changes that are appropriate to the guidelines. And so there's some things like storefront redos, for example, that have been done where we brought 1 or 2 that are very similar to the commission for a vote. I think we've approved a couple beyond that that were very similar to ones that were already approved as appropriate because they were deemed appropriate. And then this one, which is why I made the comment today, is kind of like on the edge. If it had been visible from the right of way, we would have brought it to you for a vote. If it had been vinyl siding, we would have brought it to you. So it's really when they're trying to do a significant change, or if they're trying to do something that's explicitly not within the design guidelines, is when we'll bring it to you for a vote.
I have a question, Aaron. If there's something that's kind of in that gray area, that marginal area, do you, before issuing an administrative approval, would you like call
Alan.
the?
Yeah,
And I
that's
think
what
we
we do.
talked on this one
Yeah.
specifically.
Okay.
Just
well,
like, hey, here's what we're thinking.
Just
Adam and I will
asking.
talk about it and be like, what do you think? We look at the design guidelines. And then usually, we have a standing call with Chairman Griffiths anyway, so I'll just like say, hey, can you chat through this project with us and
Okay.
get a read on it? What do you think?
You know, on the one that was the garage doors that were changed on Market Street, you know, that's a pretty significant elevation. And that's highly visible, and I like it, okay? But for example, if that was cool glass overhead doors that they were changed into solid doors, is that something that all of a sudden would come before us? or-
Probably, because that would
Yeah.
reduce the character of the pedestrian visibility of the facade and, yeah, the bronze finish and the windows have been done in like the old Lakeland Design Store that's now Inkwell, and where Island Sham Farmhouse is done. So it kind of matched some others that have been done.
Yeah, I think in general, I mean, when we talk, anything that we think would take away from our current historic architecture overall, we would bring. Anything that deviates from the rules, we would bring. If something's compliant, looks nice, and is clearly better, you know, objectively, then we'll have a conversation about it.
Yeah, we have one coming up that's on where Tim Dorsey Fitness is, where we got a call about it and the application, and it's a metal roof, which there's no documentation where that building ever had a metal roof, and I'm getting ahead of us, but Adam was like, well, can we give that administrative approval? And when I looked, I was like, oh, it was cedar. Well, we can't let them replace cedar with metal. We have to bring that for a vote. Then we found that it's actually vinyl, so they're replacing vinyl with metal, and I was like, okay, well then, that makes sense that we could approve an upgrade
Right.
from vinyl to metal, so.
Any more comments? Okay, move on, please.
All right, you got it. Next one, another individually listed property at 514 Wayne Street, complete siding and trim replacement. This is the James E. Marshall House. So here's where it is, just a couple blocks up and over. So moving on Here's a street level view. You can see the previous siding and trim was white. That is, the new one was white. Previous siding and trim was vinyl. The new one was engineered wood. So we have a couple upgrades that we're presenting on tonight that we're quite pleased with. So this was what was submitted, and so it's not just like for like, but an upgrade to more historically appropriate anyway, material. So that is what was submitted and was compliant with the guidelines. So on October 17th, 2025, staff granted an administratively approved certificate of appropriateness for that scope of work with the below condition.
Perfect. Any comments on this one?
I'll mention that all of the defining architectural characteristics, the trim above the windows were kept in the siding project. They didn't remove anything.
Yeah. The only comment I would make on this one is, just as members of the commission, if you're out and about through town and happen to notice construction on a building that you think is on our list, please feel free to contact staff, either Aaron directly or Adam, and just say, hey, are you aware of what's happening at this building? This one came to light in that way, and fortunately, we caught it early, and the plans were appropriate and good, and we didn't have an issue, but the owner, I'm not sure if it was the owner or someone else, certainly didn't seem to be aware that they needed to come and get a certificate of appropriateness. So the final outcome, I think, is a huge upgrade on what was there before, so. Okay.
All right. Second to last, 300 East Water Street, Unit 3C, window replacement, another upgrade. Application submitted by Kevin Shea for window replacement on all facades of his unit, which takes up a lot of the third floor of the former Bing's Hotel. This is both individually listed and in the historic districts. You can see on the right-hand side of the screen. On the top left is where it is with the parcel lines. Moving on from that, here's some existing conditions, and we'll get an even better look in the slides to come of the conditions from the street. So the applicant proposed replacing 12 existing vinyl windows with aluminum clad windows that match the existing design style. This involved upgrading the mullion or muntin type for all windows from sandwich type, which you see on the left, to a simulated divide. All window shapes were maintained, will be maintained, and all trim will be color matched to the existing windows of other units on their respective facade. I talked to the applicant at length about this. He was voluntarily very interested in compliance, which is, it's neat, you know, when residents take that special interest for the reason we think it's interesting. Anyway, so sandwich is what it was. That's what most of the windows are. You really have to kind of like squint from the street, but that's what all the other windows are, and what he's proposing our design guidelines say are more appropriate. Originally, you would have had a proper divide instead of simulated, but this is a basically wooden detailed trim on both sides of it. So that's an upgrade. Here's north elevation. So this is from East Water Street, from the street. East elevation. So north is again there, and then the east, and then the south, which is that Hancock Street, I believe.
Hancock is on the left. in
Yeah.
that picture.
Yeah, okay, so from back there, yeah, he sent me these diagrams, so, yeah, the south elevation, so kind of a large portion of that is his unit. The proposed replacement windows, like we've talked about, are an improvement from the existing vinyl windows and all around appropriate in design, therefore compliant with the design guidelines. So on December 22nd, 2025, staff granted an administratively approved certificate of appropriateness for that scope of work subject to the below condition.
On this one of the primary focuses was to make sure that the condition of the improved windows still from the street just looked like the rest of the windows, because you don't want to have a condition where, you know, you can really tell that one person replaced their windows and everybody else didn't.
Right.
And that was the focus of our conversation with the applicant.
Okay, any questions on those? That work hasn't been completed yet, right?
Not to my
think
knowledge.
so.
I have some familiarity with
Yes.
the property.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Well, that's my living room right there. Yeah, it's interesting. He had mentioned to me kind of in passing that he was going to be doing this. And apparently, he had already received approval from you. I don't think that there's anybody else in the building who this was afoot. And I just say this as an aside. It has nothing to do necessarily with the proceedings here today. I think he's got to run it through the HOA as well. And as I said, I don't think that, there's not been a whisper in the building about it, so it'll be interesting.
We'll leave you to that, or Joy.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments? All right.
I'm just curious, did he suggest why he was doing this?
No. He just wanted to upgrade it.
Okay.
There you go.
Moving on.
Okay, last one.
Last one, 301 East Market Street roof replacement. Application submitted by Quality American Builders on behalf of the property owner, Market 301 LLC. Here's where that property is. Excuse me. Technically, both this and the property immediately left or west of this are both 301, but the one highlighted is the one that contains Tim Dorsey Fitness.
Right.
It is it's also in our historic district. It's not contributing. You can kind of see it in this picture, that more Victorian style building on the very corner there. That was, and if you look in the description, the addition of this building made it not contributing any longer. And so, yeah, that's what we have. And so you can actually see some of these vinyl, not cedar shake, but vinyl roof shingles, more of a vertical, almost hip roof at a steep angle, have flown off, if you look on the top right of that roof. And so that was the reason for the application. And the property owner wanted to do metal to better protect the building, to avoid having to continue to just replace shingles. So the color of this is a royal brown metal roof. Also going to be installing an ice and water guard, which I was surprised to hear was not on the building. I understand that to be standard. But that will better protect the building. The metal roof will be in the parallel rib style with quality fasteners planned for use in the project. Left-hand side is that parallel rib roof and wall system. If you squint, you can see there's a 40-year paint warranty and 50-year fastener warranty available. When I talked to the applicant, they seemed excited about that, so I think that'll be exercised, hopefully enabling quicker repairs too in the future, if needed. Okay, some examples, and then you see the color. So Aaron spoke to it a little bit. The existing roof does look like cedar shake design, and according to section 9.01, that would have made it a defining characteristic, which our guidelines say need to be preserved, and would have come before you proper. But we discovered it was made of vinyl, which is in compliance, so this new metal roof is appropriate, an all-around design, and will better preserve this building, albeit non-contributing, still in the district. So on January 13th, 2026, staff granted an administratively approved certificate of appropriateness for the proposed scope of work at this location, subject to that below condition. Thank you.
Any comments on that? All right.
I think the building was put up when it was Gallagher's Feed and Supply
Oh, okay.
Description said mid-'80s.
sometime
Yeah, that was a warehouse, whatever.
Yeah, I can't remember what was on that site before. Does anybody, Lou, do you have a
Don't
memory of
remember.
that? I don't recall.
Okay. Is there any other business, Aaron or Adam?
No.
Nothing. Okay. So just as a reminder, our sort of mandatory schedule going forward is quarterly meetings unless we have specific applications to consider. So if there are no specific applications, our next meeting would be April 16th, I believe, is the Thursday, third Thursday.
Wednesday.
I'm sorry, Wednesday, be the
I'll check.
15th, April the 15th.
Sounds right. Tax day.
Yeah, 15th is correct.
In the meantime, if we do have applications, we'll endeavor to notify commission members as soon as possible, but just bear in mind that those could happen on the third Wednesday of any particular month, so February or March.
And the third Wednesday of every month remains on the city calendar. It's on, it's
Yeah.
shared with all of you, so we hold that time frame, and we'll just let you know within the week, like when you'd normally get your agenda packet is what we, letting you know if the meeting's canceled.
So standing monthly, minimum quarterly.
Yep.
Right, yeah. Okay, anything else? If not, can I have a motion to adjourn? So moved. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Who was the second?
Appreciate it.
Hunt did the block, didn't he?